if we rode some of those things, and then we'll hopefully start welcoming Congress folks in around 2-ish, 2:10. Jeff's lined up some great speakers and some folks that are very, very invested. Not just folks that signed on because we, hounded them into it, but some folks that really championed the effort. So those are the ones that Jeff really tried to reach out to make sure we had the very best of the best. We've got a lot of folks that support us, but Jeff tried to get the very best of the best so that we could take that home to our home states and sort of make sure people knew the impact we had. So going through some of the statistics, first thing I'll do is I'd like to thank Abeta, Maryland for running 2 rides from Baltimore in. I was told I wasn't on them. I was down here for an early breakfast with a senator when I was told the rides went flawlessly and got folks into what we might call back in the Midwest a conundrum. Got folks safely all here and all here safely. So thank you guys. Good rides. Thank you for doing that. As you know, this is the 3rd annual Bikers Inside the Beltway. This was a dream of Jeff and Bose's going back to several years. Bose Kerr was our vice president who died after going home from the 2007 Beast of the East. He had a heart attack the morning after getting home from Beast of the East. So this was a dream of his, a long-time dream of his, and he and Jeff worked very hard on having this happen. If you go out and look along the motorcycles, Jeff at the last second, Jeff and Tiffany actually convinced themselves to add extra parking. And it's a good thing we did because we used an extra block this year versus last year. So this event went from 30 motorcycles and 50 people to last year about 75 motorcycles to this year in excess of that with several more people. And the interesting thing is folks have come out to not only just attend this event but to come a day or two early and make sure they're hitting all their congressional offices. In adding up the best we can, we'll do the tally officially a little bit later, but we believe we hit about 250 offices. Okay, there's 435 of them, 434? 35. 435 to count Guam again. So 250 offices. That's a majority of the offices of the folks that run this country, that we elected to run this country. That's incredibly impressive. There are organizations much greater in size, much more financially sound than we are that can't do what we did in the last 2 days and again a little bit more this afternoon. To get a majority of our delegation visited in a week's time, all focused on the same 6 or 7 things, is really unique. I want everybody to understand, and a lot of you do, I know, but I like to hear myself say it. It's really unique in what we do and how we do it. And the amount of focus that we can walk when we leave out of here this afternoon, or some of you have appointments even tomorrow. When we pull out of here, there will be no question what our agenda is, what the motorcyclists of this country need, how we need our regulatory agencies to act, and how we need our federal money spent when it comes to motorcycles. Again, a tremendous thing that we do as a group. The other thing that I think was quite tremendous, and it doesn't happen very often, and it certainly doesn't happen when you're in the office, we had an honorable congressman drop a Dear Colleague letter. Hopefully you've all seen this. We've got copies of them. While we were sitting in his office yesterday, he slid this across the table and said, "I've signed up for everything you guys have ever wanted for 20 years. I don't care if it's HIPAA, if it's healthcare, it's making the federal agencies behave, leading the helmet repeal in '95, fixing HIPAA, Kennedy-Kassenbaum, all that stuff." This is James Sensenbrenner. He has been phenomenally strong with motorcyclists, and especially in our sovereignty and in our states' rights sovereignty. He is one of the very, very foremost champions of that. So as we're sitting in the room, he literally slides a letter across the table and says, "I'm tired of you guys asking for me to do stuff. You don't have to ask me anymore. I do whatever you ask. You do something for me." And he slid the letter across the table and said, "I'd like you guys to spend some time getting folks to sign on to this." And I know several congressmen yesterday and today, after this letter landed, have actually gotten members to sign on to this letter yesterday and today. Again, this doesn't happen very often. This isn't the common thing for a congressman to hang it out there, especially in the world of partisanship today, to really hang it out there and say, "This is exactly what I think, this is exactly what's right, and this is why I think it's right." And then have the confidence and the trust and the faith that this group of people will then responsibly carry this letter around and get folks to play with it and engage in it and get people signed on. Again, following our agenda. So this is not an easy thing. It's not something that happens a lot. This is a real exciting thing for this to be slid across the table when we're in the room, while we're here, while we're visiting a majority of our congressional offices. So if that's all you take away from this event, firmly and completely understand that we can change the direction of this country when it comes to motorcycles. This group of folks, certainly there's still guys running around doing appointments, so I would suggest this is probably about a quarter of the people on the Hill today wearing leather and looking like we look and doing what we do. But we have a profound influence on this country when it comes to motorcycles. Take that away. The power of this letter, the power of what we do, and the ability to get in to the majority of the offices in this country, in the offices of the folks that run this country, literally in a couple of days, is something nobody else does. Very few people do, and we have a profound effect. And we're making some real strides. I'll let Jeff talk more about some of the specifics in the last few days. It's really been accomplished by our work.